Truth Serum Nation, Friday evening. I hope everybody's fine. You know, I just come in, I don't stop. I just keep pumping, 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 pumping. And let's wait to see if we get anybody in here. Some people do have lives and they're out on Friday night, but I can't take the pressure. I got to get it in. And so I'll just wait for some people to get in here. Of course, people will watch it later, but the crazy, bloodthirsty Colombo family. And we all know how that goes. And Mike Francese's family, huh? Yeah, what's that all about? What's that all about? Good old Mike. Oh, there we go. Everything seems like it's delayed. Who we got in here? What's up, Mike? EB23. You gonna check in? You gonna punch in for 10 minutes? Where you guys from? I should know that by now. I want to just wait for some people to come in. Talk about oh, you're on break? Yeah, some people do work. The bloodthirsty Colombos. How come Mike Franzese does? Oh, Youngstown. Okay, you told me that before. My mind is shot. Mike Franzese has got immunity. He read it. How come he don't talk about any violence or anything, or like, you know, the big shot on YouTube, the big mobster on MobTube? Where's all his stories? I've told 10,000 of them already, and I wasn't a made guy. Make you wonder about that guy over there, huh? Things that make you go, So go get a coffee, water, whatever you got to do. Let's give praise to Jesus, first of all. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Remember, there's a like button, notification bell, and all of that kind of stuff. All of the good, all of that real good. All the good juice out there. I'm curious to see what, you know what, let's see. I'm curious. Hey, Robert B., what's going on? The captain and Tennille. You know I got bored. I had to get something in there. Folks, don't forget the super chat button. You know, I like to eat too. I didn't retire with 300 million like my good old buddy Mike Franzese, you know. It's MobTube Friday, folks. Get your checkbooks and credit cards out. By the way, I wrote a book. The link is in the description. All right? Don't choke on your reply. What's Mike Franzese been posting? What's he been posting? What, selling some wine and cheese and some... What's Mike Franzese been posting? I'm just curious, folks. I'm curious. What? Mike Franzese testifying in front of Congress. Hey, let's check this out. What's that all about? Mob facts? Yeah, here, you want a little Scooby snack? You want a Scooby snack, folks? We'll talk about some blood later. Yeah, here's your king of YouTube, folks. Here he is. Here he is. We got the wine and the cheese and the bam, 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 bam. Yeah, he was with Bill Mayer promoting his wine. What? EB23? Ain't there droughts in California? California wine? It's got to be like urine water. Come on, folks. Bill Maher. Jeez. Yeah. Here's your MobTube hero, folks. There he is. There he is. Yeah, have a sip of water. Maybe he had some wine there in front of the senators. Maybe he had some wine there. There he is. This is where he speed ratted. Crazy. Robert, thank you, sir. Thank you. Crazy. My whole problem, of course, is why the heck did he claim to be a boss? Why? Is his whole life a fairy tale? I mean, here.
Mr. Franzese, it's the rule of this subcommittee that all witnesses are sworn. So will you please stand and raise your right hand?
Raise your hand and rat.
I swear the testimony you will give this subcommittee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Raise your hand and rat. Raise your hand and rat. MobTube hero. He gets them from Armenia. Well, EB23 says because most people are simpletons, Joe, nobody really fact checks anything anymore. Well, I mean, it's all theater, it's all entertainment, and there was no animosity between us years ago. I had a duty to do and everything else, and that was just the way it was. He was nice. Of course, he was nice. He was never in a club. He was never in a club sitting down having a drink. So, I could show that, but he's testifying. He's speed ratting, and I had Sammy the Bull. I know a lady that used to hang around years ago. She's 75, 80 years old. She hung around. She was around in the parties and everything. And she knew Sammy. I had her call yesterday. Nice lady. But we were communicating on Facebook. I'm off of Facebook. Whatever. I'm off of Facebook. And we communicate. And I told her to call. And then I put the phone up here. I said, how could you even entertain to even kiss something like Sammy the Bull? How could you? She hung up on me. A lot of the women, I mean, the background women, well, the wives, the mistresses, the straight up hoes, down and dirty Jerry Springer hoes. But that lady was beautiful, and she was a 10. She was a 10 and very intelligent, very smart, very intelligent. But I think she was just in certain places, high money places, and whatever they commiserated, however they did that, they did that. But let's check out some of this.
Would you tell who is accompanying you and in what capacity?
Morning, Senator. My name is Bruce Kelton. I'm attorney for Mr. Franzese.
I assume you're not going to answer any questions.
No, I'm not.
All right. Mr. Franzese, if you would proceed with your statement.
Okay, sir.
Here we go.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Roth, and members of the subcommittee, my name is Michael Franzese. I am here today to testify about the ties between organized crime and professional boxing, a subject which I can discuss based on a great deal of firsthand.
Professional boxing? Yeah, okay. What? Who forgot about college basketball? What happened? What, they just overlooked college basketball? What a joke. Who cares about the boxing? That's a no-brainer. The boxing was fixed. That's just a straight up no-brainer. But how much you think this lawyer of his got? Maybe a couple senators might have got a little juice too. You never know. You never know. The government always has their hand out. Don't worry. They're worse than the mafia. He's got a prepared written statement, blah, 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 this and that. And I don't know if this is the testimony or the hearing where he just started rattling names off. Boom, 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 boom.
College, since I was involved in both. I was a capo in the Colombo La Cosa Nostra crime family. My father was at one time the underboss. It was through my father that my brother and I got interested in professional boxing. My father was an amateur boxer and maintained a strong interest, both sporting and business, in boxing. He owned interests in several boxers, including Rocky Graziano, and was involved in business deals with several boxing promoters.
Hold on.
When I was inducted into the Colombo family on October 31st, 1975, I was assigned initially to Andrew Russo, one of the copper regimes. Russo is a first cousin to current family boss, Carmine Persico Jr., and at the time of
Anthony Russo just passed away in Florida. He also cooperated. This Colombo family, boy, it's like the cheese factory where all the rats just freaking ended up. They got this place in Florida. It must be like the Villages. You know, they got the Villages in Florida. It's like the rat villages, and they're all down there. They have parties, you know, and somebody left the lights on, and everybody told on each other. They're all ratted each other out. But I seen some other YouTube rats down there that they're all, you know, the failures. Everybody on MobTube, they're the failures of the mob. They're the failures, okay? They all get the witness. They get a nice little pension. They get to stay in Florida, Johnny D. And, you know, everything's fine and dandy. They have a clubhouse. And, you know, I liked Anthony Russo. But he passed away. He passed away recently. He was down there in the Villages, Florida. They have the Villages. You know, now this is like the cooperating, the rat villages. It's the rat villages. And they're all down there. Yeah, how many did you rat on, Bill? I only took down 17. Well, yeah. How many did you take down? 19. Yeah. They all got life. Yeah, good. Here, toast. Cheers. They're all having parties in their little rat villages down in Florida. Is that where Dom Cicali? You got your own place, don't you? $1 million place, Dom Cicali. He ain't running from anybody. Dom Cicali, he's not running. He ain't running. He's walking right out there. Who wants some? Dom Cicali. I got to give Dom Cicali credit. He's not running from anybody. He'll put his face on a billboard and let you know where he is. You ain't gonna bum rush him. None of them guys. Not that wash woman, man. None of them Mama Lukes. They ain't gonna bum rush Dom. But yeah, what do they got? You are now entering the city limits of Rat Town. Is that on the highway when you're on the highway driving? Honey, get the MapQuest out. Okay, yeah. Well, where are we? Well, we're 6 miles from Rat Town Villages. Oh, okay. Let's go. Well, I can smell cheese from here, honey. Yeah, well, there are all the rats down there. And I believe it's either 52,000 a year rat pension or 104,000 a year rat pension. How nice. The taxpayers got to pay. But I do like Mikey Scars. I do like him. He did what he had to do. That's just the way it goes. I like his sidekick, RJ. That's the game. The game went downhill, but it's not a green light to rat. I mean, still ain't. What's going on, Johnny D? EB23, Michael Candinas. Friday evening, I couldn't take the pressure. I had to get it in. You know, I had to get it in. And like the Colombos, there were stand-up guys that they went, they did their time. A lot of them, they went, they did their time. Like Angelo, he got out. You know, I had him on the phone and everything. They did their time. And then it burns me up. It burns me, even though I wasn't a made guy, but I knew boss, underboss, captains, I knew everybody in the roster. And it's just like this generation, that generation came out and just dumped the Mafia into the dumpster. Mike Franzese, he dumped it. When you're looking at RatTube and you're wondering what was the downfall of the Mafia, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Exhibit A, Mike Franzese, rat. Exhibit B, Sammy the Bull Gravano, rat. Boom. Dom Cicali, post them 20 years, but didn't do a lot of damage. But I'm guessing this testimony right here.
My induction, he served as an acting boss to then family boss Thomas DeBella. At that time, Russo owned a middleweight boxer named Vito Antuofermo.
And the testimony that Mike gave led the ripple effect of that. When the government's investigating one guy, 3 others show up. Then the ripple effect. So we will never know. I would guess, just because I'm a numbers guy and I'm into statistics and probability and things like that, I would say that Mike Francese's testimony led to at least 500 arrests. At least. He gets a golden deal. There must have been a lot of envelopes getting passed out. Wouldn't they go after a guy so hard? Wouldn't they really say, okay, this is a target. This is a prominent target. Well, before they were handing out life sentences, they were handing out life sentences like candy. And then you get a high-profile guy, and all of a sudden he gets a cushy deal. I wonder why. Yeah, he testified, but that's not enough. That's not enough. The government already knew half this gibberish he's speaking right here, but it must have been those envelopes, the same envelopes that paid off all the other crime families. And he's the king YouTuber. He's the big mob guy. He ain't never been in a mob club, and he don't even tell story. I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's selling wine. Why not? What's going on, Damon Walker? But I was just a little nobody, and he's got a green light to talk about violent crimes. He's got a green light. You could talk about violent crimes and murders and extortion and conspiracy till he's blue in the face. Maybe he was just in an office in Manhattan, and he wasn't He wasn't in the streets. How could you be a captain of a family and you ain't never anywhere around? All the old timers that went before him, all those Colombos. See, he waited to do this. He waited to do a YouTube channel when he knew the last person was locked up, and he knew the last person passed away. There were still some bad actors out there. There were still some bad actors in the mix, and he waited to get word from New York. Okay, the coast is clear. And then all of a sudden he shows up. Hey, my name's Mike. I'm a mob. I was a Colombo mob boss. Oh, no, you weren't. Well, I think I was an underboss. No, you weren't. Well, I guess I'll just try to be a captain then. Yeah, okay, we'll let you be a captain. Okay. What's going on, folks? Johnny D. Hey, smoke alarm. You know this guy?
Who eventually became the middleweight champion. Myself and other family members were often told in advance what the outcome would be of many of Antuofermo's fights. This enabled us to bet successfully on these bouts. On occasion, I was present at Monty's restaurant in Brooklyn when Russo would meet with other managers and fight promoters regarding Antifermo's opponents. The bouts would be arranged and
yeah, we had a restaurant in Brooklyn. All right. Guilty as charged.
family members would be assured of the outcome. However, when it came time for Vito to fight Marvelous Marvin Hagler for their first title bout at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, we were told the outcome was not predetermined and that we were on our own with regard to any bets we might place. Both myself and Russo and about 10 other Colombo family members attended the fight and the post-victory party. Actors James Caan and Burt Young.
See that Eddie Russo, I think it was his son or nephew, Anthony, that just passed. Now, I was at an event a million years ago, and I think Anthony was close to my age, younger, and he was just being at an event or something, just a regular guy. Because when I seen him later, then I went, oh yeah, but he went bald and everything. He went bald and got bigger, heftier and everything. But I don't know what he passed, natural causes or something he passed. But he cooperated. Yeah. So, yeah.
Also attended the party with us, since both are friends of Russo and other family members. I also maintained a business in professional boxing, an interest in professional boxing. In 1982 and 1983, I owned an 8% interest along with an associate in a middleweight fighter by the name of Davey Moore. Owning a fighter did not always result in our acting in his best interests or in the interests of professional boxing. For example, on June 16, 1983, Moore was scheduled to fight Roberto Duran. Davey was not in the best of shape physically, and he wanted to have the fight rescheduled. In fact, the owners were of the opinion.
How come they don't talk about the fixed college basketball games? This was a huge gambling ring. So I don't know what they agreed to him and the government of just like ratting about boxing is fixed. I mean, the government knows that what are you going to get out of that? I mean, what's going to be, what are the fruits of that he's going to testify for that?
That Moore had no chance to beat Duran in the condition he was in. Since betting against him in this case would be a sure win, the decision was made to allow the fight to go on as scheduled. The fight took place, bets were placed, and the outcome was as predicted. Both myself and my associates collected our winnings. While I do not know specific details as to how Moore was able to pass the physical, I was told by my associate not to be concerned about problems with the State Boxing Commission, that everything would be taken care of.
There won't be any problems with the State Boxing Commission. Don't worry about that. He could pass the physical. We'll look the other way. Here's an envelope. He loved, which is fine. He loved to fix everything. If you had two crickets going up a wall, he would tranquilize the other cricket just to win the bet. He liked to fix everything. But this was a huge gambling ring. I don't know why they're not elaborating on the basketball fixes in small markets, small schools, which you'll never see on MobTube. You'll never see it on RatTube, MobTube, or anything else. Small schools in New York State, they could get 2 or 3 starters, and they can lock up 2 or 3 starters and get them to agree to whatever they wanted to do. And then they could call out to Vegas and melt the money in. And of course, I delivered the bread and milk and everything, but they had so much money in this network going in the whole Eastern Seaboard up into Canada. And I don't know where this testimony is leading to, but just talking about boxing, what about the hundreds and hundreds of thousands that were made on college basketball? Wow.
Obviously it was. In 1983, Chet Cummings, a New York boxing promoter and longtime acquaintance of my father's, was approached by Bobby and Victor Guerrero, who used the name Victor.
My godfather, that was an enforcer for the Colombos, he used to work out. He was a big bruiser, and he worked out with Cummings, Chester Cummings, I believe his name is, because they just worked out. My godfather worked out till the day he passed away, to the day in his 70s. He worked out, went home, had a heart attack, God rest his soul. But that gym, it was a mob-run gym. It was a mob-run gym.
Montana, to help arrange a meeting with Don King for the purposes of discussing the possibility of co-promoting some major boxing events. Unbeknownst to all of us at the time, Guerrero was an undercover FBI agent and Bobby an undercover informant working a sting operation directed at professional boxing.
Well, that's nice.
They told Cummings they had a substantial amount of money to invest in this deal. Aware of my father's connection to organized crime.
Now, how stupid. These undercover FBI agents come along and show up like they're connected to somebody, and they got a huge amount of money to get down with, and they're going to give the gangsters a piece of the action. How silly. Just like when Donnie Brasco came on the scene. Get out of here, Brasco. How they let these scrub informants infiltrate. They had enough money. Oh, there was a couple of big money financiers that are going to come in and get down on this fixed boxing match. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong? Philly Bob, I'm doing good. I hope you're doing all right. Big Small, how's it going? Smoke Alarm, how you feel? Johnny D.
Cummings introduced Guerrero and Bobby to my father with the intention of having him arrange a meeting for the pair with Don King. My father, in turn, introduced them to me. Up until that time, I had never met with King personally, although I had been in his presence on one prior occasion. My father knew I had not met King. However, he knew I would be able to make contact with him either through family connections or through some of my own contacts.
You'll never hear anything about Don King and tomfoolery and flimflammery, but I would guess that Don King was in bed with the government also. Look what you could testify and just give out half truths, but not the whole crust of the whole truth.
I agreed to meet with Guerrero and Bobby for the purpose of arranging a meeting between the parties. At my initial meeting with Guerrero and Bobby, they told me they wanted to launder a great deal of money they had accumulated dealing in narcotics in South America. They assured me how
they were laundering money through racetracks also. We're not going to get into that right now, but serial numbers and different types of things. Philly Bob.
However, that they were no longer in the drug business and that they wanted to launder their money so it could be invested into legitimate businesses here in the United States. In their view, co-promoting professional boxing events was the perfect vehicle for such a purpose, and Don King was the ideal promoter. They figured that co-promoting major events with King could enable them to launder millions of dollars on a single event. Although I had never done business with King in the past, I understood through conversations with other family members that he had no problem working with organized crime guys. Furthermore, I recalled
So how come Don King never got charged? He's around boxing, which the Mafia loved to fix boxing. They're all rats. They're all working both sides of the fence. The money's getting passed around.
A meeting in or about the year 1976, where Paul Castellano, then boss of the Gambino family, and Thomas DeBella, boss of the Colombo family, met with King and berated him regarding certain business dealings. While I do not recall the specific details, I do remember that it involved King's knowing the outcome of fights in advance because he owned both fighters. I also recall DeBella saying that King assured him that the families would not lose any money on whatever deals they had going together. At subsequent meetings with Guerrera and Bobby, I agreed to arrange a meeting with King. I explained to them that he had connections to a family other tthan my own, and that protocol would require me to obtain approval from the leadership of that family. The family operated out of Cleveland. They apparently understood. The next step for me was to place the entire transaction on record with the leadership of my own family. At the time, if I recall, Carmine Persico Jr., Colombo family boss, was unavailable due to his imprisonment or to strict supervision he was under from the Department of Probation. In his
Well, you claim to have his title, Mike. You tried to take Carmine's title, in case we had forgot. Cleveland, see, Cleveland rock and roll. I told you, folks, you never hear about Cleveland in MobTube and everything in mob lore or media. You never hear Cleveland. Cleveland used to rock and roll.
absence, I met with his son, Alphonse Boy Persico, and Joe Tomasello, both of whom were family capos. I was given their blessing to proceed with the deal. Through prior conversations and business dealings with Tom Corky Vastola, a DeCavalcanti family soldier, I was aware that he had done business with King in the past. I intended to use him as a liaison to the Cleveland family to clear the way for the deal to move forward. I arranged a meeting with Vastola and his capo, Jimmy Rotunda, at Gargiulio's restaurant on Coney Island. I brought Guerrero and Bobby with me. Initially, I sat down privately with Rotunda.
Let's move this on. Let's see what else he says.
While Guerrero and Bobby wait. I met with Pagano and explained the co-promotion deal. Received a 50% split of their end. I informed him I had touched base with the Cleveland family on the transaction, and he was aware of that. I also repeated to King what I had told Sharpton, that I could only qualify these guys to a point, or the fact that many of its major participants, from the fighters themselves to their managers and trainers.
I don't know if this is the same testimony where you see that Monty's restaurant? Yeah, I wish I owned it.
To some of the top promoters have their origins in the streets, makes professional boxing a prime target for organized crime. Questions you might have.
Okay, here's the questions.
Mr. Franzese, when you first met with the undercover team, they told you they wanted to launder drug money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yet the source, the illicit source of their money.
Did Mike state in all those videos that the Colombos didn't participate in drugs and selling drugs and all that? Of course, I already said 1,000 times they sold more drugs than anybody out there. And now, is it just a coincidence that these huge drug dealers want to launder money? Drug money? Is it just a coincidence, Mike, that all of a sudden out of the blue, here come these FBI agents that are acting like huge drug dealers? How much he already know? This is a charade. This hearing right here is a charade, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Money did not deter you from proceeding with the deal.
That's correct.
You testified that you also informed King during your private meeting that the deal was to be done using drug money that the undercover team wanted to launder through King. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Did King object?
The drug cartels that the Colombo family were dealing with in that era were making millions and millions of dollars. How come they never asked them to launder any money? But all of a sudden, these undercover informants acting like they're these big bankers, and all of a sudden they come out of the wall, and now they're gonna win over the trust of the Colombo family. That doesn't make sense at all. That does not make sense at all. This is a charade.
The illicit source of the money?
No, he did not.
Did King make any specific comment regarding the illicit source of the money?
No.
Did King object to being used to launder illegal drug proceeds?
No, he didn't.
Did he express any reservations whatsoever about doing this deal?
None that I could recall, no.
You testified that you also told King that Guerrero and Barrett were licensed promoters in New Jersey. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know how they obtained their New Jersey promoter licenses, and were they obtained lawfully?
I do know how they were obtained. There was Chet Cummings.
Well, let's guess how they were obtained. They bribed the boxing commission of the New Jersey. Let's just guess at that. How were their promoters' license obtained? I mean,
who I had mentioned earlier had a connection with a fellow, I believe, by the name of Bob Lee, and he was able to license these fellas for a price.
No
and
kidding.
I know that they paid to have this license.
How do you know that?
I was told this from Chet Cummings, and I had prior knowledge of other licenses that they were able to obtain.
Now, you said you were a couple in the Columbia family. Are you still organized? Are you still a member of organized crime?
No, I'm not.
When were you inducted into the Colombo family, and can you describe your induction ceremony?
I was inducted in 1975. It was Halloween night, and it was a ceremony that I guess it has been described in the past, but it was a certain oath that I had to take and a certain procedure that was followed.
Yeah, let me go. I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and I'll yield to Mr. When you were inducted into the Colombo family, as you stated you were, it's my understanding that a person cannot resign from the mob, yet that is what you say you have done.
so the senator's asking him, as far as I know from prior knowledge and things, in the mafia, you can't resign from the mob. You just can't say, hey, well, I've had enough of this. Hey, see you, Tony and Jackie and Jimmy and Ricky. I've had enough. I'm going to be going this way. He retired, all right. Come on, take the money and run. He won't say that. You know, get out of New York ticket card. You know, get your get out of New York ticket card. How much did that cost?
How were you able to accomplish this?
Well, it's true you can't resign from the mob, and I never formally handed in a resignation. I just chose not to be involved anymore, and sort of went my own way.
Are you aware of any threats made against you as a result of your leaving the mob?
Yes, I have been made aware of threats.
In your statement, you said that extensive betting occurred by organized crime on the fights of certain boxers because you had inside information. How much money are we talking about being bet on these fights?
Uh-oh, how much?
Oh, several $1,000s. I remember.
Several $1,000s. The senator asks him, so you're going to go through all this, fixing boxing commissioners, fixing promoters. You're going to go through all this. And the senator says, so how much did you make off of it? Well, several thousand. Several thousand is 0 to 10,000. Otherwise, you'd say tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. So why are you going to go through all this overkill, get a guy to launder millions of dollars who are the FBI? Why are you going to go through all that to fix some fights? You'd have to make millions.
Bets being placed as much as $50,000 to $100,000 on a fight.
Okay.
A single person.
Now, you stated that Andrew Russell, a capo and one-time acting boss of the
Andrew Russo, not Russell.
Colombo family, owned boxer Vito
Antifermo.
Correct. Was Russo the manager of record?
I don't believe so, no.
But Russo controlled him and called the shots, even though he was not listed as the manager of record.
That's correct, yes.
Chet Cummins.
Was it well known within boxing that Russo controlled Arturo Fermo?
Yes, it was pretty wide out in the open.
Now, I understand that he has embarked on an acting career. Are you familiar with any of his recent roles?
Other than that, The Godfather 3, no.
What did he play in that role?
I think he was a bodyguard.
Now, in addition to the boxer you identified, can you recall any other boxers who fight you bet on with inside information? What were the outcome of both of these fights and your bets?
Well, other than the Davey Moore fight and
Vito.
I had certain information on the Jerry Cooney fight when he fought with Larry Holmes.
Jerry Cooney and Holmes.
And we were aware of the outcome of that fight in advance.
How did you know that information?
Through direct information from Jerry Cooney.
Jerry Cooney.
Did you win a lot of money?
Yes.
How much?
How much?
About $30,000.
About $30,000. The fighter himself, Jerry Cooney and Larry Holmes, the fighter tells you right off the bat, I'm all done. Or I don't even know who won that, but Jerry or Holmes knocked him out. 30,000. You ain't betting pennies. 30,000. Really, 30,000. Even the feds had millions to put up. What is this? It's a charade. It's a charade. They were trying to frickin' bribe 18 and 19-year-old kids playing college basketball. They're betting hundreds of thousands. Trying to melt it in all over a gambling network. He's testifying in front of Congress that a professional heavyweight championship bout, they got the information on the winner or the loser, and we made about 30,000. What a crock of... That's a charade. It was all theater, and it was just, let's just do this proceeding, and that's a wrap. That's a wrap. There was that's a tidbit, but there's another video where he was just giving out names like this, just giving out names and everything like that. So what are you going to do? Now he's on YouTube. Now he's on YouTube selling wine. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So if you can help me out, there's a super chat. There's a Cash App. There's a like button. There's a notification bell. We're going to tell a bloodthirsty story another time. Okay? Thank you, Philly Bob, for coming in. Johnny D, Smoke Alarm, Jimmy Rockford, Biggie Small, Big Small, Damon Walker, Wyatt Earp, EB23, I know you had to go to work. Mr. Bergio, thank you. The great RB and the beautiful family there. God bless you all. So, yeah, this ain't going to be no marathon. No, Big Small, you know, the drugs got into the family, his personal family, and did a lot of damage. So I'm going to watch coming up a story, because in the title, I don't like to deceive. I don't like to do tricks with the titles and all that. But the bloodthirsty Columbos. Mike doesn't tell any bloodthirsty stories. I'm a coffee boy, and I could tell couple stories here or there. Maybe I dreamt them up. I don't know. All right. So there you have it. Be the kings and queens of your world. Donate to the channel. Help a guy out. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. Hit the subscribe button. And you knew Fatato when you were a teen. Fatato. You say Fatato, I say Fatato. All right? God bless y'all. And hit the notification bell. Maybe we'll rock and roll tomorrow, and I'll tell this bloodthirsty story. So All right, folks. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening.